Welcome to your unfiltered guide to navigating the workplace as a Black woman, the Black Womaning in Corporate America podcast with your host, Nicole S. Palmer. I am the editor-in-chief and founding partner of Delnick Media, an independent publishing company that amplifies underrepresented and marginalized voices. This podcast was inspired by my best-selling book, Playing the Game While Black Womaning in Corporate America. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Black Womaning in Corporate America with your host, Nicole S. Palmer. I hope everyone is doing great today. I'm doing this early in the morning because we are on our official new date and time. Oh, yes, actually to both. We are now on Thursdays, every Thursday at 7 p.m. You'll catch our podcast. That's when it airs. And also, just so you know, that means that I will always be live on the Q&A to answer any questions you may have. So if you have a little bit of downtime, go ahead and pop into the live chat. This is premiering live on YouTube. It will be premiering live every Thursday at 7 p.m., meaning that as it is premiering, I will be in the chat to answer any question that you might have within reason. Okay. So I hope everyone's doing great. Happy, what I like to call Happy Friday Eve. Yes, I did not coin the concept of Friday, but I 100% own it. And coupled with the fact that tomorrow is Friday, yes, we are celebrating Friday Eve up in here. So thanks so much for being here. There's so many things I want to talk about, but I'm going to focus on one. And I got to shout out my girl, Mercedes Swan. We recently technically it was an interview, but actually it was a whole kiki and a good time. Okay. She actually invited me on her show to talk about what Black women in corporate America looks like while building your digital empire, because y'all know that is what it is all about in 2025. I have said it before. I'm laying claim to it. The year of Nicole. If you don't know, now you know. Yep, that is what we're all about this year. So it was really great to have that conversation. And I'm telling you, we literally could have talked for like another 4 to 5 hours. There were so many good conversations and I felt like I wanted to get into everything, but then we would run out of time, and we actually went over because we just had so much to unpack. And I still feel like we could have talked another 4 to 5 hours easily, but obviously we both have things to do. But it's okay, because promise you this, we are already in the works for the sequel. She will be coming on to the show, Black Women in Corporate America. Yes, it is happening. We're going to have another funky good time, okay? Because she is officially a guest and a friend of the pod, and I'm claiming it for myself. I think I'm a friend of her pod too, Career Love Coach Podcast. It was 100% all love, and I just had such a great time. So thank you so much, Mercedes, for having me on and for seeing me, and also for just like, man, we were vibing on another level. And I think, I mentioned I'm putting myself out there a little bit, but it's okay. I've always likened myself to a little bit of an awkward Black girl. So the whole Issa Rae series totally resonates for me. And I felt so at home. And I'm not saying that Mercedes is awkward. I felt very much like I could just be like my nerdy, awkward, corny, geeky self. And that is rare to be able to find spaces that allow for that. So 100% would definitely come back, and she has 100% a subscriber for life, like for real. With all that said, there was a specific topic we talked about that we did not have a chance to unpack, but I'm gonna have to unpack it because I saw something else that really made me think we need to talk about it. And y'all know how I do. If it's on my spurt, right? We gonna talk about it. And I felt like it was so apropos, especially for Black women in corporate America, because, I'm always gonna tie back to the work that we do here, to the mission, to the focus. This is 100% your unfiltered guide to navigating corporate America, to navigating the workplace. Yes, that is what it is. And so this has come up a lot, and I really wanted to unpack it. And now I'm like, man, I really should have done what I said I was going to do, which was look this up. But I didn't, but it's okay, because y'all know I love me talking some off the cuff. So that's what we're going to do. So yes, we are definitely going to talk about it, because I definitely feel that there is a there are some myths around this concept and this terminology that I really want to break down. And I wanted to demystify this a bit because I do believe that it is being misconstrued and misused, this terminology that we're going to get into today. And I think it's important for my girls, for my overachievers, for my men that are overachieving. Look, I see you too, okay? So if you are up in here, welcome, hello, thank you for being here, thank you for supporting. So for those of us who are overachieving, I think it's super, super important to drive this point home and to talk about this because I'm not seeing this talked about. And again, y'all know how I do. And I did not come up with this phrase, but I love it because to me, I feel like one, it decenters you, and two, it kind of diffuses any kind of any kind of animosity, put it that way. So this is a phrase I got from someone who came into my life at a time where I really needed it, for a season, and I'll leave it there. And one of the things that she always used to advise me on or indicate that I should try to do or to use in my dialogue was the phrase, I'm happy to be wrong. And I think there is a lot of power to saying things and framing them that way, because then it's kind of difficult for someone to be on the defensive because you're not saying, I know I'm right and this is how it is and da-da-da-da-da. You're saying, I'm happy to be wrong on here, but here's my take. So that's what I'm going to say to you all. I haven't been seeing this talked about, but I'm happy to be wrong. And if I am, y'all go ahead and set me straight, put a comment in the chat, shoot me a little message, and look, we can unpack it the next time around. Okay? That's just what we're about up here, transparency and forthcomingness. Is that a word? I don't know. I think I should have a session or just called, is that a word? Because I'll be throwing stuff out and it just sounds good, so I just go with it. So with that said, I do definitely want to talk about this because I'm seeing a rise in it. And I think especially on the heels of everything that took place during the election, how it turned out. Most of us are still mourning. I certainly, in a lot of ways, I still wonder what could have been. But anyway, here we are. So on the heels of that, and where we have, this surge where, where the 92% of Black women who said, we are voting for Kamala, and we did. That 92%, when we realized a lot of y'all did not agree with the vote and y'all voted the other way and got the other man in office or the man in office, we were like, okay, cool. That's how y'all feel, then peace out, right? We're gonna do us now. We tried, we gave it our best effort, but y'all wasn't serious. So now we're gonna focus on us, and we wish y'all the best and good luck. Yeah, that's kind of what happened. And I think that's at least my observation. And this is my observation based on what I've read, what I've seen, and a lot of the different posts that I've seen on social media. And y'all know I'm on a lot of social media channels, and I like to skim just to see what's going on and keep myself abreast of the goings-ons, okay? Based on that, and I think that kind of also fueled it a lot, there was this rejection or this idea that we definitely should not be killing ourselves, and I mean that figuratively, please don't get me wrong, but we should not be doing the most like we typically do. I very much agree with that. I do agree that we need to fall back in a lot of ways, especially given how things turned out. And I'm here for it, honestly, because we have been doing the absolute most for a very long time. So to see us collectively be like, we good, I'm here for it because I 100% embody that now, especially the way that I move in corporate America now versus how I did back then. I'm 100% all about that. But with that said, I do believe that there is this movement. I don't even know if it's a movement. Because I don't think there's a flat out rejection of it, but I do feel like a lot of people are coming out and saying that they're rejecting hustle culture, which I don't disagree with, because hustle culture, the definition of hustle culture is this, okay? Hustle culture is the belief or the prioritization of long hours, working hard, basically going all in to make money, to succeed, to get ahead at the expense of your health. Keep that in mind, okay? That's the definition of hustle culture. So it is when you prioritize or when you believe the only way to get ahead, to stack that paper, to get them coins is to go all the way in, extra hours above and beyond, 20 plus hours a day at the expense of your health. That's important to keep in mind. Okay? Very important to keep in mind. That's what hustle culture is. What I have seen, however, is this, I'm gonna get fancy on y'all, this conflation where you take this for that, like you basically equate one thing with another. So yeah, I got all fancy on y'all, and I pray to God that that's the right definition. No, I'm kidding. So there's this conflation of hustle culture with what me and my girl Mercedes, yeah, we girls now, okay? What we talked about on her pod, dream building, okay? Yes, there's a conflation there. So there is this idea that you reject hustle culture and you're not supposed to be working towards something. And I categorically reject that. Okay. Ironically, yes, I reject the notion that the two are one and the same, because they are not. I agree that hustle culture has definitely led to burnout and to the detriment of our community, especially Black women, especially overachieving Black women. 100% agree there. But when I think about hustle culture, I think about this vicious cycle that, yes, you might have a lot to show for it in terms of physical. So in terms of a lot of money in your bank account, your bills are paid, you got a cushion, but you physically are worn out. So that is the hustle culture I definitely think we need to move away from. But I reject the notion that building your dream is hustle culture, because let me tell you something. And I say this because I don't know. I like to kind of put myself in a position like I'm here to tell y'all, maybe it's not the hottest take, but I definitely want to make sure that you who are here listening understand that what you're doing isn't wrong. What you are trying to build for yourself isn't wrong. And I don't want you to feel guilty about it. And I think if we equate hustle culture with dream building, it's very easy to feel like I'm not supposed to be doing this because I'm supposed to be laying it down. I'm supposed to be living like a life of like just chillness and, really just slowing things down, right? And I do agree that there's a time and a place for everything. Y'all know I grew up in the church, so I'm gonna get, from time to time, I'm gonna get biblical on y'all. And one of my favorite scriptures is in Ecclesiastes that talks about there's a time and a place for everything, right? A time to heal, a time to sow, a time to reap that which was planted, right? There's a time and a place for everything, right? And with that in mind, we have to understand that, I'm gonna pull in a quote. I'm pretty sure this quote was from a movie or a show I saw. I think maybe I heard it somewhere. But basically, in order to get what you've never had, you've got to be willing to do something you've never done. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. In order to get what you've never had, you've got to be willing to do something you've never done. If you are currently working a 9-to-5, just like I am, and so I'm speaking to you from a place of understanding and acknowledgement that I'm not talking to you from my perch, from my I've arrived, so just do this, but I don't understand the struggle and the challenges that come with trying to dream build while you're still very much in corporate America. I'm telling y'all this 100% because I'm right here in the trenches with you. In fact, I'm really right across from you right here. If you just look over like that, you're going to see me right there. So I am speaking to you 100% from experience and 100% from the heart. And I'm speaking to you as someone who knows how it can sting when you feel that you're doing everything that you know how to do and that you're capable of doing within your power, and it's seen as something wrong or this or that and the third. All right. So let me let you in on a little secret. Okay. If you are working a 9-to-5 and you are doing something other than a 9-to-5, basically, whether you got braid after hours, you have writing that you do, you have a YouTube channel, whatever, fill in the blank for whatever that is. That's a side hustle. I know I'm blowing your mind right now. No, you know this, okay? Those of y'all who are here understand this. So every one of us who is doing something outside of their 9-to-5 to make coin, that's hustling. I mean, they used to call it moonlighting back in the day, but I think at some point, I think it was sexier, maybe. I could be wrong. Let me know if you one of my OGs, let me know where the whole concept of hustling came from. Like, where did it go from moonlighting? Because that's what we called it, right? Back in the day, when you had a job outside of your 9 to 5, it was called moonlighting. And there was like a whole thing, like if you were a cop doing that, there were some rules around that. But the concept was moonlighting. And at some point we went from moonlighting to hustling. And I get the idea where hustling can be like, oh my God, stop hustling, stop doing this. Because hustling implies extra effort, right? It implies speed, it implies elbow grease, it implies all of those things. So I understand where hustling got the connotation that if you out here hustling, you're out here grinding. And grinding typically implies that you're doing a lot. And while I agree that it does definitely take extra effort, I reject the notion that hustling in and of itself is bad. I think there are levels to it, right? And so if you are hustling to the point that your health is failing you, that's a problem. That's a problem. I honestly would even call that something other than hustle culture or something other than hustling. That's insanity. That's where you're headed. Because if you make all that money and you have all this extra saved up, but you got to use it to recover physically because you don't burnt yourself out to the to oblivion. Yeah, that's not helpful to no one. Okay, so yes, 100% agree. But for my peoples, like for y'all who are here, and I know very few people who are overachieving. I'm not saying that y'all don't exist. I know that in my specific circle, I don't know of any overachieving individual that isn't doing something other than their 9 to 5. I just don't. And that doesn't mean they're like all in on hustle culture or whatever you want. The hustle culture as it's defined, let's be clear. Remember what I said in the beginning. Hustle culture is the belief or the prioritization of long hours, overexerting yourself, of just like really grinding it out to succeed at the expense of your health. And I'm going to try to bring this point home because it's about to be 8:30 and I got to get my stuff together before 9. Y'all know, like I got my 9 to 5, right? So I'm doing this outside of my 9 to 5. I'm going to try to bring this point home real quick in this next 10-minute segment because y'all know I'll be doing this stuff on TikTok because it just works. Okay. So what hustle culture is not, it is not pursuing your dream. It is not sacrificing other things like time or hobbies or maybe just sitting in front of the TV or streaming something in exchange for building your dream. That is not hustle culture. Okay. And I need to drive that point home because I know me personally, I'm an overachiever in a lot of great ways, but it's a double-edged sword because then if I don't hit the mark in a way, then I beat myself up. And I think that even as an overachiever, you want to overachieve in the best way possible. And so you even want to overachieving. And it is a fine line. I think there are very few people who are what we would consider successful that are not overachievers, unless you fell into money or you had the lotto, and even that, you'd have to know what to do with that money or that success, the windfall, whatever you want to call it, in order to really apply it in the way it needs to be applied. So I don't ever want anyone to feel that because they are an overachiever, there's something wrong with them. Overachievers make the world go around, y'all. They do. But I think what is important for us as overachievers is to find balance. Balance is what's key. So 6 days a week, I go hard. And so I put in my 9 to 5. I bucket time around my 9 to 5. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Yes, I sure do. 5 o'clock in the morning and 5 to 9. That's my magic time to get my business work done. Once 5 o'clock hits, from 5 to roughly 11 p.m. or midnight, I'm doing some more business work. And then I call it a day. I go to bed, wash, rinse, repeat. But I do that Monday through Friday. Let me be clear so you guys can see what the balance is. Monday through Friday, yes, I average about 5 to 6 hours of sleep, not because I'm not capable of getting more sleep. That's just what my body requires. Everybody's different. If you require 8 hours, please go to bed early. Like, let's be clear on that. Me personally, by 5, I'm ready to go. So that is Monday through Friday for me. Saturday is a little bit of a catch-up day, so I do use Saturday, but it's more free-flowing for me. So for about 8 hours on Saturday, sometimes a little bit longer, I'm getting some work done. I'm catching up on emails. I'm catching up on some of my to-do items that I didn't knock out during the week. Then I'm chilling. I usually wrap it up by about 7 or 8 on Saturdays. Sundays, I don't get up that early. To me, but sleeping in for me is about 7 o'clock. So that's my definition of sleeping in. So around 7 or 8, I start my day. From 8 to 11. Again, I get some work done. And then once hubby is up, I shut it down. So from 11 until it's time to go to bed, I do no work. So I have a set aside day or a set aside block, I would say, where I'm not thinking about work. I'm not checking my emails. I'm not looking at my phone. Yeah. So you see the difference? It's not okay. I'm going to just work 7 days a week. I'm going to sacrifice my family. I'm going to sacrifice my health, my loved ones, because I got to get this paper. That is hustle culture. There's a difference. And I think it's important for us to talk about it. I think it's important for us not to confuse hustle culture with dream building. Most of us who are dream building and working professionals are usually doing our dream building outside of our 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with that. Embrace it. Ironically, most people that say no to hustle culture are literally doing the same thing we're all doing. There's a difference. I need to be very clear about that, because I do feel like there's some myths and some misconceptions around what hustle culture is and what it is not. And I just want to be very clear about that. Most of us have a dream that we are building, and most of us need to also dream build while we are furthering someone else's dream. That's just the reality. And that's typically when you're working at 9 to 5, you're helping them build their dream because you're funneling your time and effort to their company. And that's just reality. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Keep in mind that dream building requires sacrifice. You probably are going to have to work a couple hours after 5, or whatever your shift is, a couple of hours outside of whatever your slated block of 9 to 5. And I use that term loosely because I know everybody has different shifts and hours that they work. But in order to dream build, you're going to have to put in some hours. You don't put in hours at the expense of your health. And that's the difference between hustle culture and dream building. And I really thought it was important to talk about that, because I do reject the traditional hustle culture. Hustle culture in the traditional sense is not healthy for anyone, but I don't think we're talking about it in the right way. I think we are leaving out some key things. Hustle culture, meaning working at the expense of your health. That's all hustle culture is in the truest sense of the word. Remember that. Hustle culture is working at the expense of your health. Short and sweet. That is not dream building. That is not choosing to put in additional hours because you are pursuing something that is bigger than yourself and something that is bigger than what your 9 to 5 can provide. That's it in a nutshell. I thought you guys should know that. And if you're an overachiever, I see you. I am you. And guess what? We make the world go round. So keep being you. Just be balanced. Balance. And that is something I definitely learned since leaving the job that shall not be named. Balance is so key and so important. So that's what I wanted you to take away from today's topic. Especially, look, I know as Black women, I know how we get down. Okay. So yes, balance is important. So is dream building. And there's a way to do both. It's possible to do both. I'm doing it right now. I'm working in corporate and I'm building my dream. I don't have to choose, and you don't have to either. And don't allow someone to tell you you're doing hustle culturing. I know, another phrase I just threw in there. If you are doing it in balance, and if you are working on your dreams, not at the expense of your health. That's the key takeaway. And on that note, because I'm looking at my little timer right here, I've got to go, guys, because I still have 1,000,001 things to do in this little bit of time now. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to try to do maybe I'll do a little cheat sheet or something like that. If you guys would find it helpful, let me know in the chat. Would you be interested in a cheat sheet? Hustle culture versus dream building? That sounds nice, I think. Let me know in the comments if that's something you would be interested in. I've got to run, guys. I hope you have a marvelous day, of course, by the time you see this, it's going to be evening. So I hope you have an awesome Friday, an awesome weekend, wonderful weekend. I hope you balance things out. I hope you find a happy medium. I hope you're not working yourself to the bone at the expense of your health. Let's not do that. Let's find balance, but let's also recognize that dream building is not a dirty word. So let's call it dream building, because that is what we're doing. And dream building is never done at the expense of our health. That is not, in my opinion, what God and the universe wants for us, and what we should want for ourselves. Yeah. All right. That's all I got, guys. I will see y'all. Please have a great rest of your day, and come back again next time where we'll unpack another topic. Please like, share, and subscribe. I don't miss my whole housekeeping items because I just have to jump right on into this, but I might go ahead and add them later. We'll see. So please like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to watch all of the episodes because I am on my way to monetization, and you can help me get there before my birthday. Until next time, guys, take care. Thanks for tuning in to Black Womaning in Corporate America, the podcast. If today's episode spoke to you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, or submit a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. And don't forget to grab your copy of Playing the Game While Black Womaning in Corporate America, available now wherever books are sold.